Hey guys, it's Jessica and welcome back. Today I'm making a video for Kindred stamps, and for this one I wanted to do something a little different than a card. I decided to make these lip product holders, and these were inspired by a few people on the Kindred Stamps Facebook fan page. So for mine I put lipstick in them, just some colorful lipsticks that I thought would be fun to give to some friends. But you wouldn't have to use lipstick. You could use chapstick. You could use mascara if you wanted. If they just really like crafts, liquid glue, or pencils, or a special kind of marker, anything like that. You can customize these to any shape or size. So the great thing about this is that it does only take one piece of 4 1/4 by 5.5 cardstock. I'm using Nina 110 pound. And I have an example here to show you that shows the measurements. Hopefully you can read my handwriting. But basically all you need is one piece of cardstock that is 5.5 by 4 1/4. I call these card panels because I use these as fronts for cards a lot. So I already have a bunch of these already cut out. And again, if you need it smaller, you can cut it down to be smaller. These are totally customizable. Alright, so to make this, I'm going to take that card panel that is 4 1/4 by 5.5, and I'm going to make two score lines. So one is going to be at the 2 3/8 mark, and the other one at 3 inches. And I'm going to fold those over, crease it on both sides. That way it's really easy to bend, and this creates almost like a book kind of fold. So after that, I take a T-square, and I'm just going to pick a center part. I didn't measure where this line was going to go. But you're going to draw a line with a pencil that is 1 1/8 inch long. I start this line on the 2 3/8 score line. I found that a good width for these tubes was a 1/2 inch. So I just measure a 1/2 inch up and then create another line. Now I can take a craft knife and just cut that line. So after trying one of the lipstick tubes and this one, I found that it was a little too tight. So I just take the craft knife again and cut those two lines just a bit longer. And when you're using your craft knife, just make sure that you are cutting away from all your fingers. These things are really sharp. I also use the scoreboard again to make that score in between the two cut lines. I just found that was easier for me. So now I'm going to use some Distress Oxide inks. I got out my glass media mat, but any surface that is easy for you to clean up will work for this. And I'm going to do some ink blending. I wanted to use Dusty Concord for all of them as my bottom color, but the other two colors that I use are all different. So for this one, it has that green to purple contrast. I have one that goes from more of a pink to a purple, and the one that is more orange to purple. I'll have all the inks that I used listed below. I also added some of that black soot distress ink around the edges to darken it up a little bit. After doing that, I went back through with all of the ink colors again to make sure that everything is very blended. I love the look of that black soot distress ink over the top of the oxide inks. It just has a smoky kind of look to it that I really enjoy. So I had forgotten when I zoomed in a little more for this part of the coloring that you wouldn't be able to see the caps that I used for each marker. So hopefully you can see the caps in my hand so you know which colors I'm using at which time. I do have the colors listed below, of course. I'm going to be using that EO4 marker again a lot, just to add some shading and depth to these colors, which I did a lot on her teal part of her dress. And then for her hair, I did use that E18 yellow marker to draw in like the curls, but that R14 red marker just totally washed that out. But I did like the yellow tint that added to her hair. But I really enjoyed coloring these ladies. I used basically the same colors for all of them. but they have such a great face to color because they have such detail in them. So I left these to dry while I was coloring in my characters and then fussy cutting them out. That way I could emboss on them, because Distress Oxide ink, if you don't let it dry long enough, the embossing powder will actually stick to it and become a big mess. But I'm going to be using some white embossing powder and then the Love Sentiment from Love Bites. And for this one I used Best Witches, which is from the Witch Sisters set. And then I can use my ATG gun to adhere these little witches to the front side of the packaging. So I did go through and make sure all the scores were very creased down with my bone folder, just so that they closed and open very easily. And then I could stick the lipsticks inside, and I like that you could see just a hint of the colors on the outside on that outer edge. I added some black gems to these too, which I've had in my stash for quite a while. And then I've had these magnetic discs that have a adhesive on one side, and they come with like plus and minus magnets so that you could use them to close these together. Other options would be to use ribbon to tie them closed, which would be really pretty. You could also use just some sticky Velcro. Alright guys, that's it for this project. I hope you enjoyed it. These came together super easy and quick. I think the longest part was actually coloring them and doing the ink blending on the cardstock. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one.